Motown song. It was not a good time, actually. I played a lot. And loved with Smokey Robinson my whole life. So I used to be in my room, you know, doing the slow dance and kissing my mirror. Okay, so this is Ooh Baby Baby, and you'll hear the limerick here, but it just keeps going. Okay. There once was a song that took hold of a child, because the tale that it told made her feel flushed and held until she was compelled to play it again, to behold the craving encased in each note that slipped from the singer's sleek throat, because the bed that he sighed made her ache from inside. She was moved by his words to devote her tomorrow to all that he said. She was told she was out of her head, but his tenor dug deep, interrupting her sleep, so she did some wild dreaming. Instead of singing it dizzy, she would pretend that he loved her or could. In the mirror, she braced for his kiss and the taste of his mouth. Every day, there she stood in a room by herself, all alone, with a body no longer her own. All her soul was engrossed in no more than a ghost. Every moment, a new stepping stone toward an empty she didn't dare to name, knowing Smokey was never to blame. Though she whispered no fair as she slow danced with air, her hip-heavy waltzing is shame. But if the song made her prefer the conjure, the hot him in her, she would live in her head, stunned, in love, newlywed, the real just a feverish blur. So she drowned in the silk of his voice just because there was never a choice. She was helplessly shook by his hoo-la-la hook, not a thing left to do but rejoice, in a romance that really was none, and a two that was really just one. She was fatally awed by a falsetto god, his wooing had left her undone. There once was a song that took hold of a child with the story it told, made her feel flushed and held, until she was compelled to give in to the lie that it told. Make that limerick. Run with that, right? Just because you say limericks are short and they're supposed to be funny, they don't have to be short, they don't have to be funny, and you can just use them as a new form. Always look for a new form. Okay, I think there's two more? Is that okay? We're good? Okay. Maybe three? Two. Okay. Because I had to pick out, I was like, you want to mess with me. I've seen your book. I've seen you. Yeah. I know you got one, so don't act like that. Oh, because she's all innocent, you know. There are poets all over the country with scars on their neck. Maria, right? Yeah. First friction. I was 12, too young to be left alone mornings after Mama packed her paper hat and sugar-dusted shoes to push gumballs down the assembly line. So I was unceremoniously dumped at the door of old Mrs. Gore's mouse-addled basement hovel, where the matron of snapping gum and gray grin ushered me in and flopped me down in a chair that stank of a dog they didn't own. Seeing how I was bleary and unslept, Mrs. Gore would open the door to the bedroom where her twin girls, Kathy and Karen, still dreamed on the edge of alarm. Peppery, flailing, their waking bodies unwound to carve me room. I don't know how it started, how wordlessly Karen and I tussled skin, adjusted knee and cunt, naturally knew the repeating mouth and its looping stanza. She smelled like what I couldn't stop swallowing. Content to thrive on a flickering cinema of ourselves, our eyes fluttered, never fully opened. We pretended a blazing slumber, hushing the grind, the soft rustle of sparse, sweating pubic, even after her unsuspecting sister stretched and tumbled out to begin her day. Strange, she didn't suspect our engine. For as long as we could, Karen and I stayed prone in exquisite, pressurized tangle beneath knotty orange chenille. We kept up the being blind, crashing into damping borders until her fat mother shuffled in to rouse us, throwing shades open to the damnable day, introducing the stupid, useless notion of language again. By then, there was a drum buried in our belly. We stank like men, all up under that sweet funk that first sin leaves behind. And two more. When I went to high school, my parents' idea of a good high school was not the one in my neighborhood, but was to bus me all the way across Chicago to a white school. and surprise, there are bad white schools. I was in a school where my graduating class was 600, 12 black people. I was then also kind of ostracized because I paid attention to my schoolwork, and then you get put in honors classes, then you get like chastised, and, because you're in honors classes, and what do? You dumb down, what do you do? So my whole high school career was just awful. And my mother's thing was, be as white as you can and you will be as successful as you can be. Just watch white people do what they do. So I was working on the school paper one day, and I was working with this guy, kind of a nerd, glasses on, and he was the editor, I was the editor, and then one day he took his glasses off to just do something, and it was, I was like, that's the finest white boy I've ever seen. So, and so you get all mixed up. It's like you're one person at home, you're another person at school, what's going on? So we started, like, dating, which was really weird, but we were kind of hiding it from everybody, and this is about that. It's got 3 parts. An open letter to Joseph Peter Naris, or the regrettable dramatic art of loving a white boy. It's a wonder our grinds never toppled, that we were lapped and gulped sincerely, lips layered away, cubics and expecting parallel, burning the outlawed outline of our rise into the lawn, outlandish hues, vital and nasty and erupting weeds, our bound structure never wearying of the questioning prod, the wishful pummel, ninth period over, the snarlers and spitters slow gone, and we were out loud, right out in the open, out of our damned minds, running our tongues around the edges of war. How socially insane our primal twist, the doom conjoined clock of us, the engine of our against, your fingers a disruption in hair just learning to explode. Every Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, we stumbled in frustrated dangle away from the grounds of Carl Schurz High School, temperature skewered, our salves hammered and dripped through denim. Separate buses spit their oily smoke to the north and west, and we pressed radiant genital ache into the ride, red inking continued crave into matching notebooks, our poetry ripped through with dactyls and something no one but 2 ballad-batted fools would call a future. Love at R16 smothered the jointly addressed nigger note. Don't know why it took your father's friend so long to see us, to witness our open wounds browning the grass. Imagine his gait, his flushed goddammit, his bulge-eyed conviction to upright the collapsing, to shove the wild wayward back into orbit, to push those colors back inside the lines, to reteach the day away from the fall. I've dreamed often of his vile and sputtered reportage, spittle showering the receiver, every other word a resolute and hurtled scarlet. An open letter to Joseph Peter Naris, take 2, or today's after-school special veers into explosive territory. Let me tell you why it never occurred to me to be afraid. You took off your glasses, and you were perfect, eyes bluer than any print written, reachably gorgeous, no hiccup of light when you stretched for me. No discussion of why we shouldn't tangle and pump against your locker between periods, why I shouldn't wrap yards of yarn around your clasp ring and where it dripped between new breasts. We snuck around and about and pretended normal, lying to parents about meetings and committees, entering the junior prom through separate doors. Boy, damn decorum, I loved you. I know I did because I know some things by now. I know that your body was a wise and ill-advised battlefield against mine, that your mouth was razored, that I loved you was a huge and unwieldy declaration, the kind of blue you unimmediately forgive. My parents weren't yours. They considered you the nap-time-sized American dream, a rung on the staff ladder that climbed every white-capped mountain. Just be careful, they said, while your father's fat blade said, these are the words I've imagined, slapped with the wide eye, I'll throw you out of my house.